This week I observed my teacher during a lesson very closely, and I looked at her teaching methods and how involved the students were and her classroom management techniques. And she did a lesson on introducing the compare and contrast essay, which is really big in the AP world. And she taught this lesson to her pre-AP students. It was about 20 or 25 minutes long, and it came after a brief lecture on the Pax Romana. She did a really good job with it, I thought. She introduced the objective of her teaching it, and she explained to the students that they had to write this essay for the AP, and because they were in pre-AP World History, that they had to start writing to prepare for being in AP World History, because in AP World History they write a whole lot to prepare for the AP exam. And a compare and contrast essay is one of the writing assignments on the AP exam, so it's stressed a whole lot. And it's also an essay that the students really struggle with because they don't quite understand it a lot of times until they do it a whole lot. The teacher went through step by step what they had to do for this essay. She told them that they had to have similarities and differences. She told them how to organize their paper. She taught them how to write a thesis. She taught them how to include historical evidence and analyze. She taught them pretty much everything she needed to know. She used a PowerPoint that went through step by step that was then posted on Blackboard so that they can refer back to it. She also gave them a handout to practice, and it worked with them studying a couple compare and contrast topics, brainstorming and finding all the similarities and differences that they could think of, and then it helped them categorize. They had to categorize those similarities and differences into three main categories that would be the body paragraphs of their paper. So they learned how to do all that, and the evidence that showed that they were learning how to write this essay was that they were to write an essay for homework. They had a week to do it, and she helped them with the organization by giving them that handout. And she grades essays like an AP would grade them. So it's on a scale of 1 through 9. She explained this to the students. The students reacted kind of negatively because no one really likes to write papers in the 10th grade, and so, or the 9th grade, they're freshmen. So they were not very happy. But I think since they're being introduced to it now, I don't think they'll necessarily ever really like it, but they'll be a lot more accustomed to it when they get into the AP classroom next semester or next year. And they'll be really prepared for the AP exam come May, a year from now, 2 years from now. They did take notes, most of the students did. They took notes on the handout that the teacher gave them, and like I said before, the PowerPoint slides were also posted online, so some of them followed along with the PowerPoint and made notes to that. There's always a couple kids who aren't paying attention, but I guess that'll come back to haunt them when they turn in the essay. But like I've said before, computers are a big problem, so some of the kids were playing games, and most of the time she caught them and told them to stop, and they did immediately, but sometimes it's a problem. And I think that the learning experience was successful for the teacher, because she's happy that she has a pre-AP class to teach this to now, so that they'll be more prepared when they come into her AP class next year. And for the students, I think that it's successful because they're introduced to it and they understand the importance of why they have to do it. She explained that really well. But they don't quite understand how to do it until they write it, get the feedback, and then can rewrite it, is oftentimes a trend from what my teacher has said. And I would definitely use this lesson in the future. I wouldn't really make too many adaptations. Like, I think she did a really good job with it, and I think it lays out exactly what they need to know. It's very explicit, and she goes through and tells them that it's not the same as writing an English paper, and that there is a certain criteria to it. She gives them the AP rubric, and they really have all the tools that they need to write the essay. But a lot of them are still stunned when they get it back and they realize what they have to work on. But I would definitely use this lesson. I thought it was very helpful. She also grabbed the students' attention because I think some of them are pretty scared of of taking AP World History next year. So a lot of them perked up a little bit and wanted to pay attention because they wanted to know what was coming. And she recognized the student questions and responses. She would answer them and probe them, make sure they didn't have any other questions, make sure they were following along with what she was saying. She also showed enthusiasm, which is hard to do for such an intense essay that a lot of kids don't really want to write. She showed enthusiasm about it. She was very encouraging. She told them that it's something that you work hard at and you get better and better at it each time, and not be discouraged if you don't get a really good grade on the first one that you ever do, because it's all about practice and improving yourself. She also did a really good job throughout the lesson, like I said, of enforcing classroom rules. She made sure the students were paying attention, and she gave them the correct consequences when they weren't. And she did a really good job of being very direct with the students. She told them, like I've said before, that exactly what they had to do and exactly what they have to do to get the grade that they want, because she gave them a rubric and she grades specifically by the AP rubric, so they know what's coming. And yeah, I learned a lot from this observation because I didn't think that, I honestly didn't really know how I would teach my students how to write an essay, because I feel like when you've been through college and grad school, you've written so many essays in your life that like it's kind of a hard thing to explain. So I got a lot out of it because I liked the way that she set it up, and I liked the way that she was very explicit with everything that she did. And I think that the students will, in the long run, really appreciate that.